Hi, I'm Jeff Andre, an account executive with Arkieva. Thanks for joining us here on Arkieva Spotlight. Today we're back to talk with Arkieva COO Sujit Singh. Sujit's here to discuss his recent blog, the ongoing shipping container shortage and possible effects on tomorrow's supply chain. Sujit, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, great to be here, Jeff.
Fantastic. Sujit, a good deal of the problems happening in the supply chain have been a result of a combination of issues: COVID-19 outbreaks, labor shortages at the port, trucking, and other logistic issues. How do you think the consumers and the retailers are going to be affected by the current shipping container shortages? More importantly, their responses.
Well, Jeff, as consumers, we all want the things when they want that, when we want them. We want them at the best price, and so on and so forth. So all this bad news about container shortage, things being delayed, ships just sitting out there at the port for weeks at end. Um, it absolutely will lead to some level of panic within the consumers, right? And people will then look at alternative ways to get the products that they need. Now, with the holiday season almost upon us, and the number of gifts that get purchased around this time, people are going to panic if the gifts are going to arrive at the right time. If whatever they have promised to their kids are there. Net result, if they see that a particular supplier is going to be late, can I get it some other way? Can I expedite the shipment? Can I hedge my bets and order it from multiple sources? Can I ride my luck? Because if one shows up late, I can always return it. So I expect some level of that type of behavior from the consumers. And if enough consumers do that, then the supply chain will go into what we call a bullwhip effect, and we will see it reverberate through the entire supply chain, up and down the chain, which will mean even higher demand on the manufacturers all the way at the tail end of the supply chain.
How about the logistics and transportation companies? What measures can they be taken to alleviate some of the bottlenecks?
That's a good question. It does seem like they're in a very tight spot. They simply do not have a whole lot of options. All of them, I'm sure, want to meet as much of the demand as they can in as timely a fashion as they can. So I would imagine they will be investing their brains and maybe money into coming up with alternative ways to move products. We have already seen, you know, different types of ships being or vessels being pressed into service to move product.
Mm-hmm.
They might go for multiple modes. They might go for smaller ports. They typically, if you go to the big ports on the West Coast or the East Coast, and if they are the most congested, you might then decide to move to a smaller port nearby. If you move to a smaller port, you might be forced to go for a smaller vessel because the smaller port might not be able to, accommodate a humongous ship. Uh, on the trucking side, you will see, a big recruitment drive, and given the tight labor market, that might mean they have to offer better pay structures, better support structures, and all of that. So I would imagine that they have no choice but to work very hard to get the product as best as possible on time, and they will be opening different options that are available to them to expand their capability. Now, in the short term, those are the things that will happen. In the longer term, there could be a bullwhip effect on that side as well. Maybe they will build more capacity, maybe too much capacity in a couple of years, which could lead to a big breakdown of the prices and so on. That remains to be seen. But certainly in the short term, they will be doing anything and everything they can to generate possibilities of getting the product moved on time.
Do you think the government could step in if necessary?
Well, absolutely, the government can step in. Whether they do it or not remains to be seen. To some degree, we have heard about things being done in UK. The current administration in the US has pressed and actually accommodate or gotten an accommodation from one of the ports to move to 24/7 operations. I think they can do more. Maybe they can press some of the personnel into moving the product itself. And it's my understanding that it has been done in the past when there was some kind of a coal shortage. There was a strike sometime. I don't exactly know the dates, but I remember the dates. But the government did get involved in moving coal back in the day. So I mean, these things are always possible. Assuming there's political will, they will do it. It does seem like it's big enough that they will have no choice but to get involved. But remains to be seen. So far we have not seen a very active involvement, but I do feel that it is quite likely that it will happen.
What kind of after effects do you see coming if we end up with too much capacity?
Well, I mean, the general rule of thumb is if there's too much supply, then the prices go down, right? And given the space of change in the in the consumer marketplace, it could also mean a lot of obsolete products that no one wants. So there will be a big environmental cost to be paid from that. But more directly, I think to your question, if there's too much capacity being built, either on the transportation side, be it shipping and containers and those types of things, or be it on manufacturing side, although there's no sign yet that manufacturing capacity will be increased. There should be a price play here. The overall cost structure should fall down as there's too much supply.
Any final thoughts on how we can dig out of this?
I mean, there are a couple of things I'll say. One is that it'll take patience. It's not going to be overnight. It may well stretch into 23, 22 for sure. And the other thing that I'll say is that it will take everyone to do their part. Consumers should not panic. Consumers should not order too much. Consumers should not create the bullwhip effect. The logistics team, whether it's shipping, whether it's trucking, they need to do their part. Government has to, I believe, get involved. So it will take all of us, all different parties, to get involved and do their bit in order for this to get resolved. And then back to the patients, it's not going to happen overnight. It will take some time because it's a bad situation and it'll take some time to work itself out.
Sujit, thanks so much for your time today. I certainly appreciate you discussing your most recent blog with us and sharing your insider supply chain knowledge. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. We look forward to picking up the conversation the next time right here on Arkieva Spotlight. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.